This day and time. What happened today, years ago?
This specific date, June 21st, and three events the sources focus on. First, the Battle of Vittoria, back in 1813.
Then, jumping forward, the scuttling of the German fleet at Scapa in 1919.
And finally, the final phase of the Battle of Okinawa in 1945.
Right. And our goal here is to use these sources to really unpack what happened each time. Understand the specific circumstances of these very different endings and look at their lasting impact. What do they tell us about war itself?
Yeah, because looking at them together, it's not just history trivia. You start to see some, pretty profound things about how conflicts wrap up or maybe don't wrap up neatly, and the consequences that ripple outwards.
Okay, so let's start with the earliest one. Vittoria, June 21st, 1813. This feels like, the sources call it the most classical military end of the three we're looking at.
A proper battle deciding things. And by 1813, Napoleon's situation in Spain. It wasn't great, was it? The sources describe Spain as this ongoing headache for him.
Oh, absolutely. He put his brother Joseph on the throne back in 1808, and that just ignited massive resistance. You had guerrilla warfare all over the country, plus the regular Allied armies fighting him. It was draining French resources constantly. Napoleon himself famously called it his Spanish ulcer.
And that ulcer was getting worse by 1813, partly because of what happened in Russia the year before.
Exactly. The disastrous retreat from Moscow in 1812 had just decimated his veteran troops. And crucially, he had to pull elite units out of Spain to rebuild his main army.
Ah, okay. So the French forces left in Spain were weaker, maybe less experienced?
Definitely weaker. And the command structure was a bit fragmented, maybe demoralized too.
Whereas Wellington, leading the Allies, he was getting stronger.
Much stronger, yeah. He'd received significant reinforcements. He had this large, combined army, British, Portuguese, Spanish troops, something like 121,000 men altogether. He had the numbers.
But it wasn't just about numbers, was it? The sources mention Wellington's strategy, this genius plan. It wasn't just a head-on clash.
No, not at all. That was the key. Wellington knew the ground. He planned a feint attack right in the center to pin the French down. But the real move, that was a huge flanking maneuver.
A flank? How?
He marched his main force way up north secretly through these really rugged mountains, basically went right around the French defensive lines.
Wow. So they weren't expecting that at all.
Not really, no. It completely outflanked them. It forced Joseph Bonaparte and Marshal Jourdan to pull back rapidly, abandoning key cities like Madrid, Burgos. They were trying to retreat and regroup.
And Wellington moved fast to cut them off.
Super fast. He managed to intercept their main retreat route back towards France, basically trapping the bulk of the French army near the town of Vittoria.
Okay, so that leads us right to the battle itself. June